Good morning again from Silicon Valley. This is Marco Marinucci, CEO of Mind the Bridge, with another Mind the Chat. Today, the topic and the area of reference is more on food and beverage, and we have the pleasure to have with us Nicolas Verschelden of AB Inbev. Hi, Nicolas.
Hi, Marco. Hi from Belgium.
And we can tell already from your shirt where we're going to end up in this chat. So looking forward to it. Too bad that it's just 10 in the morning in my part of the world. So good to have you here. So first of all, those Monday chats are being recorded under the framework of Corporate Startup Stars, and the fact that you're here, that means that you're one of the awarded companies. So congratulations for that. Very happy, and I think it's not the first time that you guys get an award, so it's good for you to be a constant performers, as your entity is always kind of innovating in the way of dealing with innovation. So very congratulations for that.
Thank you. Very honored.
Very good. So now the idea is really to dig a little deeper in your world of reference, and in the case of your company, I think the first complication is to understand what is within the group. So help us, Nicolas, understand and navigate the different brands and the different areas of the companies, and then we can move from that structure into more details of where areas of open innovation are taking place. So, but first, let's start a little bit of the highlights of AB Inbev as a group.
Right. So thank you, Marco, for hosting us today in the Mind the Chat. So basically, when you look at AB Inbev, big group, right? It's parceled out in different zones. So we have what we call global, which is based out of New York mainly, and then we have different operational zones, right? All parceled across those. So you have, for instance, Zone Europe, for which I'm currently working. You have Zone APAC, you have Zone North America, you have Zone Latin America North, and so on. So you have different zone, all parceled across the world, and eventually global that is overseeing the different zones, right? Within those zones, it's the same. It's a matrix structure, right? So within the zones, you have the different verticals with the different what I call business towers and business units, right? So business towers would be the marketing, sales, logistics, finance, legals, etc. of this world. And then you will have the business units, which are, for instance, when you're looking at Europe, you would have one business unit which is in the north, one for the countries of the south, one for the west, one for the east, for instance, and all that is all in a matrix organization with different people overseeing different functions with the different business units and business towers that I've just mentioned.
Tell us, as a reference, some of the brands that you guys manage.
Right. So I think the three of our three biggest brands are probably Budweiser, Stella Artois here already finished. It's already late here in Belgium after working our happy hour here. Stella Artois, and we have Corona, of course. Also, three of our major brands, and then we have as well what we call local jewels in the different zones. If you're looking, in Belgium would be Jupiler, for instance. In Brazil, you have, of course, Brahma Antarctica and the likes. So I'm not going to quote them all because there are so many. But you have, of course, our three main global brands, which I've just mentioned. And then you have also, some other big brands, right, as well, like Bex and the likes, and more traditional local jewels. As well, maybe just to mention in terms of brands, we also have, a portfolio of a lot of craft breweries brands, like Goose Island in Chicago, 10 Barrels in the US as well. We have Camden Town here in Europe, or La Virgen in Spain, and so on. So we also have, a portfolio of craft beer brands. If you're talking only about beer, because we sometimes also go beyond, but let's keep it to beer here this time. So, but we have the global brands, local jewels, and as well, craft beer brands.
And so in the different geography, as you mentioned, they're organized to manage all the different brands. So when you were saying, Northern Europe and whatnot, they manage the full business for that region with all the different brands.
Right. So I'm not myself into the marketing of the brands, right? But indeed, we have several persons responsible on a global level from the brands, but you also have within the zone persons responsible for the whole portfolio of brands, and then you also have brand manager per brand as well, and per business unit sometimes as well, depending on the size.
Got it. And so here, looking at some of the figures, revenue, just to give a sense of the group, 52 billion plus. And how many people work for the company overall?
So in Europe, we have about 13,000 white collar employees, approximately, top of my head. So which is one big number, let's say. But still, we're very proud of having a certain amount of people that are essential to our company. We don't want to have too many overheads. We like to keep things strictly down the line and as much efficient as we can, right? So we pay great attention to that for us and our shareholders as well.
And what are the groups within the AB Inbev that are fully dedicated to interacting with startups?
Right. So very good question. Thank you for asking. We have, again, that I've been in this role for at least in innovation at AB Inbev for the last 6 years or so. And my mission within ABI has been for the last couple of years to ingrain innovation and entrepreneurship within the different business towers that we just mentioned, right? So I've always been putting all my efforts, creating initiatives where our employees are driven towards innovation through entrepreneurship, through visibility, through exposure to new innovation programs and the likes, right? So let me give you a couple of examples. We have been running for the last couple of years, 5 years or so, I think, within the zone Europe, what we call the Shark Tank Challenge, which is basically, an innovation challenge that we're running with all our white-collar employees through the zone.
So you said the Shark Tank?
The Shark Tank Challenge. This is how we call it internally, exactly. And that goes, from Spain to Russia, right? So it really is ingrained within all the different business units within the company. And we are running that with dedicated business challenges that aim at solving real challenges for our business units. So having a direct impact on the EBITDA, being top line growth or being cost cutting, right? Mainly. So always driven through major zone challenges. So that's what we've been doing for the last 5 years or so. Now we have also been running those specific challenges per verticals. So sustainability was one of them, finance or marketing or direct to consumer and the likes, right? So this has been, one tremendous opportunity for innovation to be connected with all the employees and giving, this kind of gamification behind innovation, but also giving exposure to employees, who were then able to also pitch their concepts, their ideas that they had for dedicated business challenge directly to our C-suite in Europe. And hence, the winners were giving the opportunity to enter an acceleration period and go to Silicon Valley to implement their ideas and making it happen, right? Together with some of our gurus there as well and mentors there. So this is one of the initiatives, on how we are, giving exposure, visibility, so opportunities for employees to interact with innovation. And again, my role as former head of digital innovation, now managing part of DreamTech Alliance, is really to give visibility, to ingrain the innovation mindset within all the different business towers, within marketing, within sales, within logistics, within all the different departments within the company, within the zone Europe. So again, trying to multiply as much as possible those different touch points.
And I want to talk about DreamTech Alliance in a second. But before, just to touch upon the other areas around the company, is there a chief innovation office that is across the different regions, or how do you call the structure that manages in innovation? Is that within the digital initiatives or strategic initiatives?
Yeah, so very good question. So again, the innovation now is really within business units. This is getting more and more in depth, and so we have more accuracy and the likes. But we also, of course, still have the innovation structure, which is supervising, overall, and also, documenting the different innovation taking place within the different zones as well. Very important, sharing the knowledge, the good practices from one zone to the other, replicate them. Don't overdo things twice, right? And so we still have this entity in Beer Garage with who is led by our VP Global Innovation, Gondim, at the moment, and who is supervising, let's say, the innovation within different zones. So this is still, of course, existing, and this is still very relevant for a company to have this kind of knowledge and this kind of global exposure to innovation as well.
And then you also have ZX Ventures. Do you want to describe briefly where they sit within the organization?
Right. So ZX Ventures is a really cool example of let's say it was the brainchild of Pedro, who is now our CMO, and he started that together with a C-suite a couple like 5 years ago or something. Don't quote me there. I think it was like 5 years ago, top of my mind. And the idea was really, to create a separate, dedicated, innovation unit to focus on the disruptive growth challenges for a company. So e-commerce, direct to consumer, at that time, craft beer breweries, etc. Also, big driver of growth. So brand experience as well, and everything that was, really new and trendy, what we call experiential, right? So, that is still, let's say, a separate unit or business unit, if you will, but having very strong ties with the mothership, and the ambition, of course, is also to again diffuse or distill all the knowledge that has been gathered within the ZX Venture, and then giving it back to the mothership, giving it a new way of thinking, a new fresh air of innovation as well through the company. So this is separate, still separate, with a strong focus still on e-commerce, right? But yeah, this is getting a lot of people from ZX move to the mothership and vice versa, to also have more exposure on the mindset and different initiatives that are being run there.
And the name ventures imply that are either investments or acquisitions. Is that so within the group?
That is correct.
Of startups, I assume.
Absolutely right. So there has been in the past, indeed, there was like a startup there still is, right, a CVC fund within ZX Venture, right, aiming at the acquisition or investment of startups, tech startups. It was also used in the past, if I remember well, for also some kind of a craft beer acquisition, because it was still part of of a disruptive growth strategy, and it still is. But yeah, no, the CVC fund is really aimed and geared towards the acquisition or finance, or taking shares into new tech ventures, or new disruptive liquid products and ventures as well.
Got it. And I will look forward to know what are the disruptive liquids in the market. So we'll talk about that. Let's talk about your world of reference. So describe what is Dream Tech Alliance and what is your activities and focus there.
So the Dream Tech Alliance is basically a consortium that we have together with different Fortune 500 tech partners, and also some other FMCG partners. So you can search it on the www.dreamtechalliance.org, and you will see our organization there with the different partners and the like. So basically, we are aiming at co-innovating together. It came from the statement as well that whenever we're doing innovation, we figure out that we're all driven towards the same goals. When you're talking with other FMCG companies, we had common problematics, common business challenges, and the likes. And you say, why do we innovate in our corner? Why don't we just partner together with the big tech partners and the big FMCG together in order to find leverages towards innovation. Together with that comes, of course, all the startups ecosystem that all different big actors are already in touch with. And so it gives, each of the different actors way bigger, way wider exposure to different problematics, challenges, but also startups, and solutions at the same time. And it's also very efficient when you look at one of your I won't say competitor, but one of your peer in the industry, let's say, for instance, which is doing very good innovation with the dedicated startups. It gives you way more credibility as well to bet on the same startup that already had got like a track record of success with one of your biggest peer in the industry. So I think in that respect, it's also very interesting because it can create leverages and scale for both the startups and the corporates together. So this is what the DreamTech Alliance is aiming for and looking forward. And of course, as well, together with that, bringing the European ecosystem as well on the forefront.
This is, I think, very interesting, and is at the core of open innovations, right? So when we talk about being at the same table with some of your peers, that typically was not common when it comes to the typical R&D activities where people really are very restrictive. And here is actually, I think the perspective is really the opposite. So is that a separate entity or is that a consortium? Tell us, what is the governance of the DreamTech Alliance?
So this is some kind of consortium that we have with the different actors, and we are still looking to expand with new actors as well. We have some knocking at the door. We like to have the corporate side, the startup side, and also the public side as well. Those three interlinking all together in order to deliver the best result and the best growth for both the startups and the corporation on a European scale. And why not bring that to a global scale later on? So this is also the ambition down the line. We will see how that evolves. And since we are based here, I'm based in Belgium, in Brussels, right? The company's in Leuven, I'm in Brussels. So within nearby as well, the institution, the public institutions, is also interesting to start from here and then see how that can be scaled up further down the line. Let's say.
So give us some example. Who is today part of the consortium?
So today we have different members part of the consortium. I'm not going to quote them all here, but if you look again on the website, and I'm not going to quote them one in particular because otherwise, I should probably look for all of them and quote them all.
Child. That's always the rule as a parent.
Exactly. But you can look it up on the internet, and you will find without any problem.
But as you were saying, they're Fortune 100, so they're kind of a very widespread of companies that are part of the alliance. Tell us a little bit of what is some of the projects that you guys have coordinated with in open innovation, obviously, with the DreamTech Alliance.
We had quite a couple, right? So. With it, we ran together with the European Innovation Council, what we call the Corporate Day, for instance. And together with the different partners, we had a very nice collaboration with one of the startups being presented there called Coolmill, which had a direct implication or application for one of a brewery in the United Kingdom. We also, had a very good collaboration as well for some blockchain initiative. So for instance, as well, through another collaboration that we did also together with the European Innovation Council and the different actors of the DreamTech Alliance, and some other as well, we also broadened that up. We had very nice results for a blockchain initiative. So basically, the challenge was called the Planet.tech, right, which was organized by the European Innovation Council. And we were there in touch with one of the startups called Settlement. And we actually used that startup to help us, together with some other actors in the ecosystem, to do a blockchain traceability pilot. So very successful as well, and still being run. But I mean, like the results of those kind of collaboration are already successful per se. Right now, we have to look, of course, at the results of the pilot. Again, what I was explaining, the end results on the EBITDA, or the qualitative or quantitative KPIs that you set up for those respective pilots, looking at what comes out of there in order to assess that, on the broader picture and on the longer run, to see if those kind of initiatives really get an effective ROI. But so far, in terms just of getting the traction, getting the leads, and so on, it already revealed to be very successful and very attractive for all of the partners within the ecosystem of the DreamTech Alliance.
Is one of the potential outcome to define not just collaboration with startups, but also collaboration among the different members in topics of open innovation?
Absolutely, Marco. Absolutely. So also, sharing the best practices. I was mentioning that, within ABI, but also, within the members of the consortium, we are also, sharing best practices, and that also proved to be very, very successful and very insightful for all the partners being involved there. And why not, on the longer run, why not creating, bigger initiatives, on the European scale, on the European level, together with the public authorities, the Innovation Council and the likes? Why not opening that up there and seeing how big impact we can have all together versus, as a standalone?
And I think that ties well together with some of the topics that the European Commission in the last year have been taking over, in particular with the umbrella of the Green Deal and everything that gets translated into SDGs and sustainability, where obviously use of liquid water and packaging and all the above is at the core. So are those some of the main drivers that today the Alliance is addressing?
Absolutely, sustainability is for sure very important, not only for AB Inbev, but also for the different partners of the DreamTech Alliance. So when you talk about sustainability, Green Deal, very important. You can look at everything related to customer and consumer experience is also quite important. And of course, health and wellness are also, key challenges and key business challenges as well, looking forward down the line. So absolutely, getting this link there as well with the Green Deal and sustainability that you mentioned is one of the priorities as well. The DreamTech Alliance is focusing on.
Let's go in some of the examples of also of your views of where disrupting innovation can come from in your world of reference, in particular with the beverage related. With that, everything is from packaging to distribution to marketing. What are the areas where you think that is going to be impactful in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think there are a couple of areas that are really, really interesting. I think the way on how people consume is different, and especially during the pandemic, right? So are we going to see a real shift there in the future? This is something very interesting. So the way of distribution of the beverages is very interesting. When you look at the way on how people were doing their shopping, their grocery shopping before, now during the pandemic and probably after the pandemic, you see that it's shifting more and more towards e-commerce, online, and the likes. Probably, those DTC, direct to consumer, those B2C initiatives and the likes are going to be way more relevant, more and more relevant. They already are in a certain for certain markets and for certain items, but they will become more and more important in that respect. I also do believe that everything related to marketplace, B2B marketplaces and the likes, which are quite underestimated often, are going to grow as well, and they already are, but I see a big potential there in the B2B marketplaces, relationship between retailers and suppliers like ABI, supplying to Horeca, the restaurant as well, and having those kind of marketplaces there can help. We are already doing, by the way, some initiative there, like for instance in the Netherlands with Food together with Coca-Cola. But yeah, those kind of initiatives, I think those kind of areas, I see them for sure growing big. Like you were mentioning, everything related to green tech challenges as well, sustainability. I see that growing a lot as well in the future. I think everybody understands the importance of SDGs and green tech as well, more and more, especially the younger population, but also older population now also understand that and see more and more the importance of it. There's also that's not the reason, but that's also why ABI is also, aiming at 2025 to have 0% carbon emission for all the beers being brewed, for Budweiser beer being brewed in Europe at least. So it's I think this is going to grow as well a lot. And a third one, maybe I would be bullish on, is probably everything related to blockchain. I mentioned already this transparency, supply chain pilot we're running with our beer in Europe. I think this is one of the aspects. There are many other aspects of blockchain. Supply chain is for sure a very big and important one for our industry. But when you're looking at the broader industry, there are like new ways of finance with decentralized finance, for instance, and so on, that are really, really interesting, I do believe, for the future. Might be a very big driver of growth for certain companies and for certain actors. So I would also be bullish on that one, but this is probably less in direct link with my industry. But I also think this is going to be another one to look after.
Hey, the one that you were mentioning about blockchain, give us a little bit more of the details. I think is to track really how the supply chain happens. What is the purpose, and at what stage are you guys testing today the technology?
So this is one of the initiatives that is run by one of my colleagues, and this is really a really nice one. When you look at it, you would scan a QR code, basically, practically you would scan a QR code, and then you would basically know which kind of ingredients are in there. Well, you can already guess, right? Water, hop, yeast, and malt. But you would see, where are they sourced from? So you could track, the whole ingredients through the supply chain, which is very, very cool.
So this is aimed at the consumer. So to have a transparency, really, the whole supply chain and production cycle.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is something that all not just beverages, but also obviously also the food companies have been pushing for quite some time, but still is not to fruition. So we're looking forward to see a real use case becoming real.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. An example of the direct to consumer that you think that is being interesting and you think can scale.
So I think we are actually running a cool direct to consumer. I would say in DTC, we have actually been running one during the pandemic, and it still is running. So basically, it's a partnership that we have together with Salesforce and Coca-Cola and AB Inbev, and this is being run in the Netherlands. It's called Horeca to You, and basically, it's a B2B2C initiative. This one, respectively. So how does that work? You as a consumer, you want to get your beer delivered to your home, and so we saw that during the pandemic, all the on-trade were suffering big time, and the bars are our partners. They are not only our customers, they're also our partners. So we want to help them. So during the pandemic, we say, how can we actually help those bars, the on-trade, to get more business while nobody could go there anymore because everything was shut down by the governments. So we said, look, let's create this platform where people can order packages for experiences online, and then instead of having a Deliveroo or a Uber Eats or a Postmates or whatsoever, you name it, of this world, delivering the goods directly to the end consumer, to their home, then it would have the bars. So the nearest bars that are doing the deliveries to the consumer home, right? And so we would that way, the people who were just there trying to sustain their businesses, they could still have some kind of revenue, and at the same time, the consumer could get his or her beer delivered to their home directly and enjoying it as well as fresh as in the bar, right? Because you could also order growlers, with a pipe, so to get to recreate the real bar occasion to your home. And as well, together with the Coke products, the cocktails products, the Coke mixing and so on, we create a very nice experiential boxes for the consumer home. So consumer was happy because he could get the experience box at the moment he or she wanted to their home. The bar were happy because they could do a business even if they were shut down. And then overall, the actors, we were happy because we were also helping all the people in the ecosystem while also selling more of our beverages.
Well, that's fascinating. I think is a part of try to get into digital process also to entities that before the pandemic you would never expect to be needing a digital presence like a bar, right? I mean, you expect distributors and supermarkets obviously to have that option, but not necessarily. Probably most of the bars would even have a website. And so here, this is an acceleration into not just a digital presence, but also e-commerce that happens through them. And so is that an application that you guys developed? And then, the single bars or the bars that are part of the network, hosted in their website? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, so basically it's an initiative that came out of the Dream Tech Alliance. So another good example there with one of our tech partner, which I quoted Salesforce as well. So who developed the platform. And so it was, it was a result of a brainstorming session and together with the different partners, ABI, Coca-Cola, and Salesforce in this instance. And we were discussing together and saying like, okay, what could be the best outcomes here in this situation? And one partner was taking the lead of the tech, of course, because they were techies, and we were taking care, of the relation together with our consumers and our customers, so our partners, the bars. So that's again a very good example, right, of a good collaboration where you can put the different people with different objectives. Initial objectives in mind, but aiming towards the greater good in the same cause. I think it can create tremendous results like this one, and I think it's another good example of the Dream Tech Alliance achievement so far.
Excellent. I think that's a perfect way to end the conversation. So, Nicolas, thanks again for your time
Marco.
spent here. Congratulations again on your awards with the group, and keep up with the good job. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. Grazie mille. Thank you very much, Marco.